The United States reached deals on Tuesday with Ukraine and Russia to pause attacks in the Black Sea and against energy facilities. The U.S. agreement with Russia goes further than the deal with Ukraine, as the Trump administration agreed to help seek the lifting of international sanctions on Russia, something Vladimir Putin has long sought. The separate agreements are the first formal commitments by the warring sides since the inauguration of Donald Trump.
We are making a lot of progress.
Trump is pushing for an end to the war, and also a reconciliation with Moscow that has alarmed Kyiv and European countries.
We're in deep discussions with Russia and Ukraine, and I would say it's going well, but it's a situation we should have never had to even think about. Should have never happened.
The Kremlin said the Black Sea agreements would not come into effect unless links between some Russian banks and the international financial system were restored. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said this was untrue and that there was no requirement of sanctions relief for the deals to come into force. But Trump told reporters his team was considering the conditions Moscow laid out.
They will be looking at them, and we're thinking about all of them right now. There are about 5 or 6 conditions. We're looking at all of them.
Kyiv and Moscow both said they would rely on Washington to enforce the deals, while expressing skepticism that the other side would abide by them. Here's Zelensky.
I believe that there are a million questions. I honestly believe so myself. There will be millions of questions and details. But as of today, it sounds like this. Every side, Ukraine and Russia, doesn't use weapons against the energy system of the other side.
And here's what Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov had to say.
We will need clear guarantees. And there may be guarantees taking into account the sad experience of agreements with Kyiv. Guarantees may be only the result of a direct order from Washington to Zelensky and his team to do this and not any other way.
Zelensky said the truce agreements would take effect immediately and that if Russia violated them, he would ask Trump to impose additional sanctions on Moscow and provide more weapons for Ukraine. The Kremlin said the pause in attacks on energy would last for 30 days from March 18th, when Putin first discussed it with Trump. Ukraine had said last week that it would accept such a pause only after a formal agreement.
Leaving a Swiss court acquitted for the second time. Two former powerhouses of world soccer, former FIFA presidents Sepp Blatter and France soccer great Michel Platini, were cleared of corruption charges on Tuesday. 2.5 years after they were acquitted of the offences in 2022, the hearing came about after Swiss federal prosecutors appealed the first decision. Both men had denied the charge. Blatter was relieved outside the courthouse near Basel.
I'm happy that the pressure that has been weighing on me for over 10 years is now gone. It was a difficult time for me. And now the justice system has finally done what's right and proper. And of course, this is a big event for me, my family, and also for my girlfriend. I still need to get myself together. I'm full of emotions right now. And I can tell you, life goes on, and things are a little easier now.
The case related to a 2 million Swiss franc, or $2.26 million payment Blatter authorised for Platini, a former captain and manager of the French national team. The payment was a consultancy fee paid to Platini for work carried out between 1998 and 2002, which he said had been partly deferred because FIFA lacked the funds to pay him in full immediately. The court said there were doubts about the prosecution's allegation that the payment was fraudulent and that the pair's account of an oral agreement for the payment could not be ruled out. The scandal emerged in 2015 when Platini was president of European soccer's ruling body UEFA and ended his hopes of succeeding Blatter, who was forced out of FIFA over the affair. Platini expressed frustration outside court after the decision, saying the case had been about preventing him from becoming FIFA president. But he added that today he is happy because this matter is over We can move on. The Swiss Attorney General's office said it would review the judgment before deciding whether to appeal to the Swiss Federal Court, the country's highest legal authority.
At least 18 people have died as multiple wildfires rage across South Korea's southeastern region. The fires, some of the worst there in decades, have spread rapidly and forced more than 27,000 people to flee their homes. The country's acting president, Han Duck-soo, said Wednesday that raging winds were making containment difficult. He vowed to mobilize all available support, including receiving air assistance from the U.S. military stationed in South Korea. In response to criticism about a lack of equipment in the firefighting efforts, a spokesperson for the Korea Forest Service said the agency planned to secure more helicopters. He added that nearly 5,000 firefighting personnel were being deployed on Wednesday, as well as 87 firefighting helicopters. However, the agency later said the choppers had been grounded after one crashed on Wednesday, killing the pilot, according to media reports. Rescuers were seen working at the smoldering crash site while fire trucks sprayed water towards the smoke. Multiple blazes that broke out on Saturday are yet to be contained, gutting ancient temples and destroying homes. The government has designated the affected areas as special disaster zones and said the fires had damaged more than 37,000 acres. The safety ministry said dry conditions were expected to persist in the region on Wednesday.
One of the last surviving alleged members of the Red Army faction, which carried out murders and kidnappings in Germany from the 1970s onwards, went on trial on Tuesday. Daniela Kletter hid from authorities for 3 decades. She was arrested in February 2024 in this Berlin apartment block, where she'd lived under a false identity. Kletter, now in her mid-60s, is being tried for attempted murder, robbery and illegal possession of firearms, and potentially faces life in prison, a spokesperson for the court in the northern city of Celle told Reuters. Police said they found weapons, wigs and cash in her apartment. The militant left-wing Red Army faction, also known early on as the Baader-Meinhof gang, sprang out of Germany's anti-Vietnam War protests. They killed some 30 people, German politicians, businessmen and US soldiers, during the 1970s and 1980s. But Kletter's charges relate to crimes allegedly committed with 2 accomplices after the group wound up in the 90s, to sustain their lives on the run. Prosecutors accused them of going on a robbery spree, raiding money transport vehicles and supermarkets between 1999 and 2016, and stealing nearly $3 million cash. Police are still searching for the 2 other alleged members. Kletter's lawyer cast doubt on the charges during a pre-trial hearing in November, but did not immediately respond to a request for comment.